Hi, this is Dr. Rhonda Turpin again from grants.com, coming to give you the next lesson on how to obtain a grant 101. So already I gave you an introduction. We've talked about where the money comes from. We've talked about why they give it out. We've talked about partially how to get it on some platforms. And now what we're about to do is we're about to talk about the two major platforms that has grant information. So we talked a little bit about Candid and Candid owning the game. They run the game as far as grants. They also own the Foundation Directory online. And as I'm going to reiterate that it's $199 a month with Candid, or they also have a listing at libraries where you could go for free, which is 3 in our area. Okay, so most nonprofits do not have 2,500 to drop on a directory. So the good thing about it is offered at the libraries. So what we're going to talk about now is what to expect when you go to research a grant. So as I said, there are two platforms. The first, of course, we just talked about the FDO Foundation Directory Online, and then it is Grantstation. So Grantstation, what it does is the same thing. It gives you a list. It comes out weekly. It's online. It fine-tunes the list for you, and that is broken down into regional opportunities, and you will get a copy of this in the underneath that you could click on, print, and enlarge. So it's regional opportunities, and what that is that it tells you opportunities for specific geographical areas. And then after regional opportunities, you get federal opportunities. And that's next on this weekly. And that's opportunities from the U.S. government. So that's all your government grants. Like, for instance, capacity building for maternal and child health funded, emerging issues in maternity and child health program. So that's the federal. And then you get the international funding. So what that is just what it says, okay? It's stuff that's funded internationally and out of the United States, and also Canada funding opportunities. So that's also listed on here. And it gives you a weekly list, a weekly breakdown, and then you could track where the grants are. Then under other announcements, it has a guide to grassroots organizations, and sometimes some state-by-state grants. So that's what Grantstation will give you. And Foundation Center is broken down much of the same, in that depending on what you're looking at, the difference between Grantstation and Foundation Center is Grantstation kind of fine-tunes them for you weekly according to deadlines, whereas the Foundation Directory, you could look at these over here that's in Grantstation, but you also could research your own. For instance, if you put in a youth program in Arkansas, then it'll pop up whether or not it's grants available with deadlines for youth programs. So both platforms kind of serve the same purpose. One, they give out the same information. When you get a foundation, what you'll get is information on that foundation, the deadlines, how much money that they're giving, what their priorities are. Like it might say priorities are technology or education of youth, K through 12. So then we start to look at priorities. It's very important that you utilize either one or the other. Like I said, the Foundation Center is available at the libraries. And so once you get your information, and start narrowing down, then you start to think about how much money are you looking for? Are you looking for 30, 40, 50? Because what will happen is they will start to tell you what areas. Like they might say no faith-based funding, or no capacity building, or it might say only capacity building or capital projects. So then you start to fine tune and research exactly what you're looking for, and that's very important. So nothing. I just want to say to you, nothing is easy. This is not overnight. This is not a sprint. It is a marathon in order to get grant money. If you got into the nonprofit sector in order to get rich quick, trust me, you are in the wrong profession. But if you have a passion for something and you're really willing to go the distance, then the satisfaction of helping others and helping your community, it's just nothing like it. So I just want to tell you that, it's some work, it's some research, and you don't have to go it alone. It's good sometimes to hire someone, hire a consultant. But remember, when you always hire a grant writer, it's always good to ask them, like we talked about, what's the least grant that they have gotten, what's the most grant they got, and from who. And basically, don't be afraid to check references, because I've interviewed grant writers for help in one of my agencies that I had years ago, and I'm telling you, I would say out of 5 people, 5 that came in and said they were grant writers, none of them were really grant writers. One, she had got some money for her church. That doesn't make a grant writer. Another one, he said he was a grant writer, but I don't think he had ever gotten a grant. So it's just, you really, like with anything else, you would not hire someone and give them your money and expect them to be a professional consultant in this area if they are not qualified, can't give you references. I could give you some questions to ask them, and if you need that, just DM me on Instagram, RJ Turpin, and I'll give you specific questions to ask them. Because on the other hand, it is some very good grant writers out there, but you have to really know what you're asking for. And then the same as with a doctor. There are men and women that write for community service organizations or smaller organizations, community-based. And then there are grant writers that work for hospitals, banks, and they will not work for community service organizations. So that goes back to a doctor. Okay, would you go to, say, a heart specialist to get veneers? Absolutely not. Would you go to a breast removal doctor to get a knee removal or something like that? I know that might not be the best example, okay? But just like you would go to a doctor with a specialty, understand that it's grant writers that have specialties too. So my specialty is small agencies, community-based, that's building a community. I don't write for banks. I don't write for hospitals. That's boring. I don't write for universities unless it's a community service program that has partnered with a university, like I did with Cleveland State University and Akron University. They were putting programs in the college, like for instance with Akron University to help males, instead of going to prison, to try to take them by the hand and help them get money for school, how to register for school, what classes to take. So that was a grant for a program inside the university. But other than that, if it's not a program, I don't write for universities, I don't write for hospitals, I don't write for banks. So what I'm hoping that you walk away with this video, you walk away with the understanding of what in the world a nonprofit is, what in the world a grant is, what in the world a proposal is, why they give away money, why companies and corporations, why they all give away money. Hopefully you understand the why, and then hopefully you understand that once you start to decide, well, you know, this is something that I'm interested in, that you know how to look up the money, what the platforms are. And then once again, very important, we talked about the startup. We talked about the startup on how to get a grant. The where, that was one part, but we talked about the how. And we talked about you should be going to GuideStar and setting up at least your bronze profile, which is first. And then you should already have your mission statement. You should already have your mission statement. When you're right here, you should have your 501c3. You should have your mission statement. That's straight off the top. So when you go to GuideStar and set up bronze, your bronze status is already assumed that you have that. You should be ready to set up your state number and register with the state that you're in. Every state has an office. And now what that's for, it's for several things, but the main thing that's for is when you do payroll or purchases or anything, it has a state tax number. And when you file your state taxes or your taxes for your employees, that number is how it's connected to what you pay the state or what you owe the state. And so that's why that number is important. And once again, my name is Dr. Rhonda Turpin. My website is www.getgrant.org. I'll say it again, GetGrant.org. That's my website. And then if you have any other questions for me, you could DM me on my Instagram, which is RJ Turpin at, well, you know, at Instagram. Or you know what, also up under here, you will see information on how to contact me on all the platforms. So once again, thank you for joining. And I hope you check out the rest of my series on grant writing. This is Grant Writing 101. This is to get you started. This is the beginning, the core of this mini course. Thank you.